Hi, welcome to Cultist Simulator. We are going to start a new game and explore painting. So the first thing that you generally want to do is build up your health, regardless of how you start. So we'll focus on doing that first. You can do it pretty easily by working on health. We got some funds, that's good. There's Dream. We're going to bring this down a little bit just because all the cards, see, everything kind of spawns up here. So we're just avoiding that. There's a passion. You don't want to work on passion just yet. You want to keep focused on... You can dream on passion if you want, but it won't do much. But you want to wait for the study verb to pop up. And you can do this at any point, like it doesn't have to be at the beginning. If you decide you want to start a career in painting, it's pretty easy to do, and it beats dealing with Mr. Alden. Although that's not too difficult either. But I digress. There's our first vitality. Now you can dream on health to speed that up. We're not going to worry too much about reason either. And there's our study verb. Nice. Nice. That's going back a few years to Borat. Health C now is regenerated. We're going to work on it again to generate another vitality. We're going to be alright for funds, even though it doesn't look like we've got many because the request arrives here. And all the starts pretty much give you a big old chunk of cash or a way to get it pretty easily. There's our reason. Like I said, we're going to ignore that for now. We've got some dread. That's not too much of a concern. Now the study verb's open, we're going to work on passion, and I hope I haven't left it too late. I think I have. Oh well. We'll work on it once. Doesn't matter. It just takes an extra 30 seconds, or actually an extra minute. We've got 2 vitality that will drop into there in a second, and you'll see why that's been left too late. Because this will have less than 60 seconds, and I wanted to get a second glimmering out of passion, but it's not the end of the world. So work on those 2 vitality to make another health. There's our health. Back to there. I'm going to work on it again just to keep those funds up. It doesn't make a huge difference at this point, but yeah, it's a nice to have. Fascination, not a problem. We've got an affliction coming up. That's okay, the timing should be fine on this. There's our health. Glimmering has got enough time on it to work another passion for another glimmering. This is our advanced skill, which we're not really going to use for the time being. We've got a vitality coming out here to deal with the affliction that's coming there. Dream on health to refresh it. Health is refreshed, so we work on it again just to keep that money up. We've researched a second glimmering, so we can combine them to make another passion, and more importantly it's going to give us the skill equivalent of a stronger physique, which I can actually work as well. I probably should be working. There's our affliction, dream on that with vitality. But as I was saying, the skill we'll get is a wild imagination, and we can start painting with that. You can paint with passion in the short term, but it's not that useful. It'll make you some funds if you've got some restlessness, which is kind of useful. Can't dream on that just yet, don't need that. Got a contentment, that's good. And our second passion is about to come out of the gate. Okay, so we'll research the request, and we'll use reason just because we're going to need these 2 passion. Alright, this is our main skill that we're going to work on now. So we add 2 passion, hit start. We can put some inspiration in. It's probably useful at this point. The next thing we need to do is generate 4 glimmerings, and that's going to be a bit of a trial, but not as much as generating 6. There's a few ways we can do it. By researching the request, we'll unlock directions to Moorlands. There's our second health. Finally back. Bring that over a bit. The reason has given us these things. Our first law, which is useful for painting, as you'll see later. Directions to Moorlands, which we're going to research immediately. Erudition, which isn't much use. Our temptation, And notes on a possible collaborator, which will give us the talk verb, which will also come in useful. Just in case we don't have anything to paint about. I should have put some funds in there, and I'll explain why in a second. Alright, so you see when we're painting, you get a number of light bulbs, and that determines the number of art rewards you get. These will contentment, sometimes mystique, and sometimes glimmerings. You can get up to 5 or 6 depending on the number of light bulbs, and the amount of passion that you put in determines the amount of light bulbs, as well as whether or not you have a topic, in this case contentment, and whether or not you add funds or paint. Both of those, whether it's funds or paint, which we'll explore later. Just add 1 light bulb. So the more light bulbs you have, the more cards you get. That's not necessarily a good thing, although at this point it is. But it also exhausts the passion. Now your notoriety when you paint determines how many funds you get. So it's pretty low at the moment because we just painted with passion. We didn't have any mystique because we didn't have any. Now there's a minute's downtime here between your first paint and your second if you're doing this straight off the bat, where both passions will be exhausted. But that's okay. We've got some other bits and pieces we can be getting up to. So we've got the explore verb and a cult scrap. We can explore that for our first mission, unless you want to start your cult with it. And we've got Morland Shop. And once you start making money, not yet, but start exploring that to generate books for lore. I'm not going to bother with that for now, but you generally want to be doing it in parallel. There's our first glimmering. One of the passions, we got 30 seconds left. Okay. The other thing you probably want to think about doing is when these passions have refreshed is starting up the dream world. But I won't dive too much into that because I don't want to put spoilers on it for now. But it started by dreaming with passion. I probably could have done some work there. Okay, the passions are back. We're going to dream with 1 passion, 1 mystique. If you don't get a mystique out of that first one, just wait for passion and do it again. We don't have a topic. Don't use lore because that will generate notoriety. You can study lore, which is bad, at least at this point. We don't want notoriety. You can study people, followers. They don't have to be part of your cult, they can just be hangers-on. You can study summons, which is not something that we'll get to, and you can study influences like restlessness and contentment that we did before. It's always good to get the this researched as quickly as possible. I should have been doing that to unlock the speaking verb. We've got Forgotten Mithraeum. I should be putting funds and topics in. But you'll see here, no light bulbs so far. I'll get 1 on the next round from the funds. Let me just collect that mystique. I have not shirked. And then we'll get some light bulbs because we have 1 passion. There we are. So 3 cards in total. And 1 fund. The funds seem very low at the moment, but that's okay. They're going to get better. There's our second glimmering, although that hasn't really worked out. Now we're going to study this passion repeatedly, and in the meantime we're going to use our health to explore, in the hope that we find Streets by Moonlight. Now we have 2 mystiques, so we're going to explore those. We've got Slee, an acquaintance, so now we can use him as a topic of painting, completely neutral, but it will add 1 light bulb, which generates more contentment and potentially glimmerings. At this point we do want to put funds into the painting because we want to see how Slee's generated a light bulb. Now the funds will generate a light bulb. Or will they? Luck played a factor. But now we've generated 1 more glimmering. These cards sometimes overlap each other. We're going to go straight back to work. Mystique, Mystique. And because our passion's exhausted, study Slee, or that, doesn't really matter. Got another glimmering. Study another passion. And this is going to give us our 4th glimmering, so we'll be able to upgrade our painting skill. We can dream on that health to keep it top. cards, alas. Mostly because it was focused on Mystique. So we got more money, you saw when we added more Mystique, but we will come to that. There are Strange Streets by Moonlight. Now you want to keep exploring these can generate Glimmerings. We're going to hold off on finishing this painting for now because we're about to get a Glimmering pop out of here. Now you want to try and avoid generating Notoriety up to this point, just because there's going to be some downtime. For example, now we've got 4 Glimmering, we're going to have to study this for a minute and put our 4 Glimmerings in there. If you want, you can work on something else while you wait, especially now that we've got a Streets by Moonlight card and don't need to explore with health. There's our first Glimmering. Also, you generally want to be exploring lore because it introduces you to new people, but again, I'm not going to go into that for now. I'm just going to show you how to get like a fat stack of cash so you can relax on that side and explore at your own leisure. Notice how some of these jobs like painting and manual labour actually take slightly less than 60 seconds, so you often have time if you want to squeeze them in and get a vitality, for example, even if you're working on other things which have a timer and a countdown. Study, however, never does. There's our Wild Imagination. Now if we want to upgrade that, that's going to take 6 Glimmerings, so that's what we're working towards next, but we do have another Passion. So what we can do is put a couple of Passion in there and a Mystique. Now, the way that it works out money, see your influence, or your reputation, sorry, the more Mystique you add, and especially Notoriety, Notoriety are worth 2 of these. This will increase this number. There's a tier at 1, 2 and 3, and then 3, 5, 7 and 9. So if you can get 9, that's the best you can do, but obviously you can't get 9 at this stage. If you get 9 reputation, you get 7, well, you get 7 draws from the rewards deck. There's 20 cards in there, and 16 of them are funds and 4 are Mystique. So basically about 20% of the time you're going to get an extra Mystique card instead of a fund. Which generally works out when you're working with 4 Notoriety, you'll get like 5 or 6 funds and 1 or 2 Mystiques. But for now we're going to go with Mystique. This is going to give us a handful of funds, 2 or 3, maybe 0 if we're really unlucky. And because you're not using any Passion, it's not going to generate many of these cards, so actually what I'm going to do is drop 1 Passion card in to generate a few more cards. And then we'll give an Inspiration, which will add another Lightbulb. And drop a fund in. Because the goal right here is to be generating as many Glimmerings as possible, so I should also be studying Passion in parallel, which will generate them for me, and not letting this run out, having worked so hard to get it. Also, if you paint with restlessness as your topic, it will destroy the restlessness, so it's a good way to block dread before it happens. The danger though, as we'll see, of how many Lightbulbs we're going to get here, not too many. The danger of having too many of these cards, or too many of these Lightbulbs, if you go above 6 you'll pick up a Fascination. And if you're generating a lot of contentment or using restlessness to paint with, you might not have enough dread to combat it, so just be wary of going too deep into the Passion unless you really need to. Got a contentment there, that's no good. We want to do another paint. Got a Glimmering. Got a Glimmering. We don't really have enough Passion to chain 2 together at this point, we're just alternating 1. So let's start that. Put a topic in. Sleeve will do. Feed it with funds. There's our next Glimmering. Study Passion again. Grab that. So essentially what we're doing is just trying to get 6 of these by constantly exploring Strange Streets in Moonlight, constantly studying Passion. Inspector Wakefield, hello. He's not going to bother us because we've only got Mystique at this stage. But painting is also a great way to manage Notoriety, as I will show you. 2 funds, and quite a lot of Mystique, and 1 Glimmering. So that's the other thing about painting, it's going to generate a huge amount of contentment, Mystique and Glimmering, and there's not going to be much you can do about it. But it's okay because we're still not generating any notoriety. Wakefield's not going to be a problem. If another investigation comes up here, he'll just get stuck on the Mystique for ages and ages, and at any point you can just stop painting and he'll go away. But I'm actually going to generate some notoriety just in order to generate some evidence to show you how to manage that as well. So we'll do that now. If you paint with, let's just split something there, a little bit of passion, a little bit of mystique, and you pick a law as your topic, it will say those who will understand, as will the Suppression Bureau. Those who know will understand, as will the Suppression Bureau. That means these guys are, it's going to generate notoriety, and you'll see that pop up here pretty quickly, but it will also up the influence. So generating the notoriety into here will give me an extra 4 influence, which will give me a bit more cash. So it's a neat way of showing that drawing forbidden things generates well, awareness of your work. What do we got here? Another restlessness. We're going to put some funds in it, and you'll see here now the notoriety has been generated, and it's at 4. Reputation's at 4. We have got another glimmering. Still not quite enough. 1.4 seconds left on this. A fascination. Hopefully we haven't got fascination coming up. The thing about this is it's easy because it's on a 30-second timer to lose track of it while you're waiting for other stuff to finish up. So you have to baby and micro it just a little bit. I should be investigating that passion. We might just make this. Let's see how many we get out of here. 3. Alright. And there is our final glimmering, but we've got to wait 48 seconds for that to clear. Okay. Yeah. And of course this generates another. I'm just going to work because our funds are a little low. It's nothing critical, and they're about to explode. As you'll see. Right, we've got a notoriety here, so I'm hoping I'm going to get an investigation, so I get some evidence. The other thing you can do is talk to Slee now. That's going to generate another notoriety. Here, which we're going to use to up the cash that we earn. Now, because we've upgraded, or about to upgrade, 1, 2, there we are, the 6th. Phew, I thought I'd lost one. Oh wait, this has been here a while, damn it, sorry. Because we've upgraded, or about to upgrade now, our skill to the max, this is going to go to a fevered imagination. Injury. We can forget about putting passion into paintings now, which is nice. What have we got? That we can ignore for the time being. Whenever you're ready you can found your cult, but that can wait almost indefinitely. Okay, here, so we've got our 4th passion, but more importantly we've got the ability to put 4 things in here. Now, you kind of never really want to put 4 passion in. It's going to generate too much fascination, which is really hard to control, and the rewards aren't worth it. You don't particularly need glimmerings anymore. There's safer ways to generate contentment just by dreaming on funds. Let's just get that health back. So generally speaking, you want to load it with as much notoriety as you can. If you just want to play it safe, and you never want to generate any notoriety for any reason, just paint with all Mystique. That'll give you 4 here. If you can add 1 notoriety, it'll take it to 5, and it'll knock it up to the next notch of rewards. Yeah, but if you want to play it safe, just dream with Mystique on something. Well, you don't even have to put an inspiration at this point, or funds. Now, adding funds will never ever increase the value. I don't know if I touched on that already. The value is only affected by the aspect here, and that's only affected by the reputation that you put in. So you see here we got 3 funds, even though we didn't put anything in. And we also got a little bit of Mystique. But ideally what you want to do at this point is put in whatever notoriety you have. See where he's picked up a notoriety there, that's good, so I'll show you how to manage evidence. You put in a notoriety here, some Mystique. And then you want to paint on Lantern, or whatever lore you have. Or a summon, if you have one you can paint a picture of a summon, and that's a great way to stack their timer, or stall their timer rather. You don't need to put any paints in, it's not a problem, we're not looking for light bulbs, we don't need cards at this point. All you're trying to do is generate additional notoriety. Make sure you, if you're trying to juggle, did he get some? No, he's converting it to evidence. Make sure if this magnet's on for notoriety, you pause as soon as the job's done, otherwise it'll suck the notoriety in that you're trying to keep away from the hunter. So what you want to do is ride this all the way up to 4 notoriety, and you do that 2 Mystique this time, and study on lore again. What's our coins up to? 12, so we're in pretty good shape again. Don't worry about feeding it with funds, it's fine. Got some evidence here, so I'll show you how to juggle this evidence. Ooh, that's not ideal. So you can always dream on this, and it will take 30 seconds to generate a contentment. I completely lost track of that. Let's have a look here. So funds 10, funds up to 14, and we generated another notoriety. Let's get the inspector over here. The good inspector. The good inspector, please stand in the corner. One more Mystique. And this is going to be our last one here. And now you obviously want to be exploring moorlands and studying books, maybe upping your reason a little bit for later in the game. Doing it now when there's some downtime is a good plan. Again, don't bother feeding it. And you'll find that it tends to make there's a contentment that should get sucked in here pretty quickly, or do we get a freebie? We're doing okay for funds, so, well, I won't dream on another just yet, because that would be a waste. Here, a rote effort. Honestly, I'm not going through the motions, so we put almost no effort in there. Worthless. And despite the fact it's worthless, because we're starting to throw so much notoriety at it, it's actually made us 6 coins. And it threw a Mystique into the mix as well, but that is good news. So now we've got the 4 notoriety that we need. You can just start painting on this. And you basically, if you want your notoriety to wait out, just ride out this. Keep an eye out for the inspector coming in. Now we've got 19 funds. I generally don't stop here yet, because now we've made the effort to get the 4 notoriety. You can just let it go. Don't bother putting a subject in, it's not going to affect the price. And just let it run out. We can probably dream of another funds in the meantime just to clear this bad boy out. No fascinations, that's not a problem. Because we're only dreaming on notoriety, it's not going to generate any fascination, because there's no passion in it. 4 funds, but a lot of Mystique that time, so the next inspector is going to be around for a long time. That's some extra restlessness. And a glimmering. Thanks, buddy. Way too late though. Okay, see, and you can just keep building your funds up in this fashion, and the reason that you can carry up to 4 notoriety, because you don't have to generate more if you don't want to, is we're just going to let this tentative evidence run out, and that way you can never turn it into damning evidence, and the entire time you're making money. So obviously what you probably want to be doing while you're timing this out is like starting to explore for someone who can maybe take this on, or starting to explore for books to read for lore. You can dream on passion and start to explore the dream world. You can talk to your acquaintance, work out which lore you want to put into your cult. There's a bunch of different options. And once you start to get the hang of it, you'll find that you start doing all these things together. Now, there is one thing that I want to show, so I'm going to pause until I get well, I'm not going to pause. I'm going to pause talking. What's happening over here? Until I get a follower that I can send on a mission. And you do that just by, at this point, exploring with health. And you'll see here, still generating this, funds up to 30. You're going to get an inspector soon? No. Paint? No, I don't want a subject. Okay, who's this guy? He's got Forge 5. We don't have anyone to explore this just yet. We need someone for the Forgotten Mithraeum with Knock or the Lantern. Alright, so I finally got an reasonable highlight after painting for long enough to get 60 gold. Got some notoriety. I tried to assassinate this dude with a thug, it failed. I've got investigation coming up, bunch of notoriety, but essentially I just kept painting on the notoriety until the damning evidence had disappeared. Give me a chance to build up a bunch of cash. There's our entry consultant, so we're going to send him to the Forgotten Mithraeum. Now, this is a knock challenge or a lantern challenge. We've got 5 knocks, so there's 70% chance of clearing it. I can't believe he took a Mystique. He's going to get a notoriety eventually, and I can't be bothered to do more painting. I'm hoping that this is going to give us an ingredient. So see this door, lantern or knock. I know we're talking a bit about missions here. All that can happen on a door is that you fail and you keep after feeding funds in to pass it. 5 knock gives a 70% chance, as I mentioned. Wow, he took a Mystique. He's definitely taking a notoriety in a minute. And the hidden door moves, hurrah, we broke through. So there's a chance it'll give us an ingredient. If not, I'll switch off again and play until we get a bit further down. But yeah, you can just keep feeding funds in there if you need to. We get 2 rewards and a notoriety. Every vault will give you a notoriety. There's nothing you can do about that. That's 2 common treasures, which can be lore, it can be, well, we'll see. That's the 2 funds that I put in that were unused. That's the notoriety. That's our guy who we hired. We've got a Noonstone, Rose Pearl Dust, and a cracked Wildering Mirror, which is actually pretty good. That's, yeah, kind of awesome. None of it, oh no, yeah, the Rose Pearl Dust, I guess, is kind of useful, although we don't have anything, oh yeah, we do have something hearty to paint on. Alright, let's have a go with this. Perfect, that worked out very well. So we go for 4 passion. I hope we can use health as an inspiration. No, of course we can't. What's he got? Knock. He's got no value. I don't think we've got anything with heart. Alright, I'm going to have to go buy some lore. Alright, as you can see, I turned old Harvey Wallbanger, or whatever his name was, into a poor lunatic, finally. While I was researching books, here are the other 2 I got, I think that's Moth and Secret Histories. I got a winter one, along with the heart. It cost a few gold. I also got an affliction, had to deal with some money, so I spent like 10 getting here. Anyway, the reason for doing all that is we want to paint with full passion. Drop in some heart. Doesn't really matter what it is. It can be a lore, it can be one of your disciples who has the heart value, it can be a summon, it can be an influence, although I don't think that's just got edge, right? Yeah. I didn't have any come up with heart in them. And then carry on going. Poor lunatic. After all that, it probably could have been him. No, actually it couldn't. That's that's funny. I thought maybe it could. It's done. And then the paints, we're going to use the ingredients, and the ingredients have to match the type of whatever that goes in, and you need at least 6 or at least 5, something of that nature. But we're fine, we've got plenty there. You're going to get a lot of light bulbs, you'll generate 2 notoriety, so be prepared for that, although the poor lunatic won't be able to do much about that. And finished, something unique. It's still going, no, I thought there was some better text. This pigment is dangerous, it may even be illegal. Oh that I am is here. Normally it says something about I've created a work of great importance. There we go. I've made something unique, something extraordinary, something I will never dare exhibit publicly. This cannot possibly ever see daylight. It will earn no funds or reputation. Now this is pretty powerful. This is an instrument which is 8 in whatever the pigment and main law that you used was. Actually, one of those notorieties is going to have been from the Thunderous Secret itself, isn't it? So that's fine. Nothing to see here. Move along. Get out of my way, lantern. But the art on these is insane. I've kind of done them all now, but this is as far as I can zoom in, sadly. I wish I could go further. They're really stunning. Yeah. It's really worth taking the time to paint all those and have a look at them. The final thing with, although we've run out now, the final thing is if stuff has timers, which I've kind of explained, but you can use it to stall summons. I meant to use it to stall my hireling, but he's already gone. If you paint with, what have we got left? Just notoriety at this point, fine. Let's make some money since it took us so long to get there. Like this, Dread, there's 113.3 seconds on it now. That's obviously going to keep that. So if there's an influence or something that you need and you're waiting for a right to cool down, or I don't know, some ability to become available, you can always stall stuff out like that. So yeah, don't hang on to ingredients, use them to craft these. And worst case scenario, although you can never make another, so be very careful if you do this, but you will find equivalent paintings in the future. These can earn you, or equivalent instruments, I should say. But there is no way to repaint these at all, sadly, and alas. But they can make you a fair old whack of cash. So whenever you auction something, there's, I don't know what percent chance is, but some percent that you get another stack half the size of the original. So sometimes it's 60, sometimes it's 16, sometimes it's 24. But not bad for a day's painting. Yeah, so that's, I guess, kind of that with painting. Use it to make funds, use it to control notoriety and time out evidence. Yeah, use it to make instruments in the early game. You can see I haven't even got any rights yet to use that instrument that I just sold in. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments and your preferred way of making money. This isn't actually my preferred way, but it might be now. It's so damn powerful at everything. Anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Love, love, bye.